It started with a pesky cough, the kind that sticks in your throat and won't let go. At first, I thought it was just a flu, one of those we catch in the winter. I had some ginger tea, some throat lozenges, and carried on with life. After all, who has time to be sick? But the cough wouldn't go away. On the contrary, it seemed to get stronger, waking me up at night and leaving me breathless during the day. I started feeling an unusual fatigue, Climbing stairs became a marathon, and playing with my grandkids left me exhausted. I felt old, more than my 54 years should make me feel. Still, I tried to normalize everything. I told myself it was work stress, lack of exercise, age catching up. I avoided thinking about the worst because, honestly, who wants to think about illness? But one day, while trying to keep up with my grandkids at the park, I felt a sharp pain in my chest, a stabbing sensation that left me breathless. I sat on the bench, trying to take deep breaths, but the air wouldn't come. It was there, on that bench, with my grandkids looking at me with wide eyes, that I realized I could no longer ignore it. It was time to seek help. It was time to face reality. I am Grace, a woman like so many others, married, mother of 2 beautiful children, proud grandma of 3 grandchildren who are the joy of my life. I worked my whole life as a teacher, teaching children how to read and write, and I always took pride in my work. I had a simple but happy routine, waking up early, making breakfast for the family, going to school, coming back home, tending to the garden, having dinner with everyone gathered around the table. A normal life without great adventures, but full of love and companionship. Until one day everything changed. The diagnosis of lung cancer was like a bucket of cold water, catching me by surprise and turning my life upside down. Suddenly, the tranquil routine gave way to medical appointments, tests, aggressive treatments, and a lot of uncertainty. I decided to share my story because I feel I need to warn other people. I want my experience to serve as an example so that no one makes the same mistakes I did, because deep down, I know I took too long to seek help. I ignored the signs my body was giving me, neglected my health, and postponed facing the truth. Today, I deeply regret that. If I had sought a doctor earlier, maybe the cancer would have been detected at an early stage, when the chances of cure are higher. But, as they say, the past doesn't come back. What I can do now is use my voice to raise awareness about the importance of listening to one's own body, not being afraid to go to the doctor, and taking care of health responsibly. I want to turn my pain into hope, my experience into learning, and my struggle into inspiration so that other people can have a healthier and happier future. And above all, I want to show that even in the face of the greatest difficulties, life is always worth living. At first, as I said, it was just a cough. But it wasn't just any cough, It was one of those that catches you off guard in the middle of a conversation or while you're trying to sleep. A dry, irritating cough that seemed to come from the depths of the lungs. But I, with my busy teacher's routine, didn't pay much attention. I thought, oh, it must be the school air conditioning, or I must have caught a cold from some child. We always find an excuse not to worry. I started taking those syrups that we buy at the pharmacy without a prescription, cough syrup, expectorant syrup, throat lozenges, all to relieve the discomfort and carry on with my life. At work, I felt increasingly tired, but also justified it. I'm getting older. Or, it's the end of the school year, it's always more demanding. The chest pains, which started out mild, I attributed to stress. I'm very tense, I thought. I need to relax. And so, I was pushing through, trying to ignore the signs my body was giving me. Sometimes I felt so breathless that I had to stop everything I was doing and take deep breaths. At those times, I was a little frightened, but soon went back to my frantic routine. I scheduled meetings, graded papers, prepared lessons, all to avoid thinking about what was really happening. I convinced myself it was just fatigue, stress, lack of sleep. To relieve the pain, I started taking painkillers. One pill here, another there to make it through the day. They were quick fixes, palliative, masking the symptoms but not truly solving the problem. The truth is that I was afraid. Afraid of finding out it was something serious, afraid of having to stop working, afraid of leaving my family. So I chose to deceive myself, to believe that it would all pass, that it was just a phase. Time passed, and the symptoms worsened. The cough became stronger, the chest pains more intense, the fatigue more constant. But I kept denying, self-medicating, and ignoring the warning signs. My health took a backseat as I focused on work, family, and other priorities. A mistake I would pay dearly for. Negligence cost me precious time that could have made all the difference in my treatment. Life taught me, in the hardest way, that health is our most valuable asset, and we cannot neglect it under any circumstances. The cough, which was once just a passing annoyance, became a constant companion, following me everywhere. At work, I felt embarrassed coughing during classes, interrupting the explanation and drawing the students' attention. I tried to disguise it by taking sips of water or discreetly coughing into a tissue, but it was inevitable. The children, with their typical innocence, asked if I was sick, and I, embarrassed, replied that it was just an allergy. The chest pains, which used to be sporadic, began to intensify and become more frequent. I felt sharp stabs, as if needles were piercing me from the inside. It was difficult to take deep breaths, and each inhalation became an effort. At night, the pains prevented me from sleeping, making me toss and turn in bed, seeking comfortable positions that never came. Sleep, once restorative, became a torment, and I woke up exhausted exhausted as if I hadn't slept at all. Activities that once brought me joy, like tending to the garden or playing with my grandchildren, became a burden. Walking in the park, once a relaxing pastime, left me breathless and with leg pains. Playing with the grandchildren, once pure joy, left me exhausted and irritable. I couldn't keep up with their pace, couldn't run, jump, or play tag. I felt old, weak, and incapable. At work, fatigue prevented me from concentrating and carrying out tasks with the same efficiency as before. I had difficulty preparing lessons, grading tests, and meeting with parents of students. I felt overwhelmed and frustrated, and began to question my ability to continue practicing the profession that I loved so much. At home, I felt irritable and impatient. The pain and fatigue put me in a bad mood, and I took it out on my children and husband. Arguments became frequent, and the atmosphere at home became tense and heavy. I felt guilty for causing so much suffering to my family, but I couldn't control my emotions. Fear paralyzed me. I was afraid to find out it was something serious, afraid of having to undergo painful treatments, afraid of dying. That's why I preferred to deceive myself, to believe that everything would pass and that I was overreacting. I tried to hide the situation from the people around me, afraid of worrying them or being judged. I smiled and pretended to be fine, even when inside I was falling apart. But there came a point when I could no longer hide it. My body was screaming for help, and I could no longer ignore it. The cough became incessant, the chest pains unbearable, the fatigue incapacitating. That's when I decided to seek medical help, with a heavy heart and a soul full of anguish. I knew my life was about to change forever, but I didn't imagine how much. The lung cancer diagnosis was a shock, a severe blow that left me reeling. But at the same time, it was a relief. Finally, I knew what was happening to me, and I could start fighting for my life. The day I finally decided to seek medical help is still very vivid in my memory. I was exhausted, coughing uncontrollably, and feeling such strong pains in my chest that I could barely breathe. I remember sitting on the couch, with my grandchildren playing at my feet, and feeling such an intense stabbing pain that made me groan in agony. They stopped playing and looked at me with those concerned little eyes, asking if I was okay. And it was there, at that moment, that I realized I could no longer postpone. I needed to do something, not just for myself, but for them, for my family. I called my doctor, made an appointment for the next day, and spent the night awake, dwelling on my anguish and imagining the worst. The next day, I went to the office with my heart in my mouth, feeling a mix of fear and hope. The doctor examined me carefully, listened to my lungs, measured my blood pressure, and asked several questions about my symptoms. Then, he requested a series of tests: chest x-ray, CT scan, MRI, among others. The wait for the results was torture. Each passing day felt like an eternity, and I felt increasingly anxious and apprehensive. I tried to distract myself with work, family, my hobbies, but nothing seemed to work. My mind was always focused on those tests, on the possibility of a serious diagnosis. Finally, the day came to get the results and talk to the doctor. I was accompanied by my husband, who held my hand and gave me strength and courage. We entered the office, and the doctor, with a serious expression on his face, began to explain the test results. That was when I heard the word cancer for the first time. Lung cancer. The world seemed to collapse around me. I felt such a shock that I could barely breathe. The doctor's words became a distant noise, and I felt like I was falling into a black hole. I couldn't believe what was happening. How is it possible, cancer? Me? It was as if I were living a nightmare, and at any moment I would wake up and everything would go back to normal. Fear took over me. Fear of pain, suffering, death. Fear of leaving my family, my grandchildren, my life. Thousands of questions invaded my mind, without me being able to find answers. Why me? What did I do to deserve this? Am I going to die? How much time do I have left? From that moment on, my life changed forever. The diagnosis of lung cancer forced me to face my mortality and rethink my priorities. I started to cherish every moment, every smile, every hug. I learned the importance of living in the present and seizing each moment as if it were the last. And above all, I learned that I am not alone. I have the love and support of my family, my friends, my doctors, and so many other people who care about me. It is with this strength and hope that I move forward, fighting against cancer and seeking a cure. Shortly after the diagnosis, the whirlwind of emotions gave way to an urgent need to start treatment. The initial consultations with the oncology team were long and full of complex information, tests upon tests to determine the stage of the disease and define the best combat strategy. Chemotherapy, radiotherapy, immunotherapy, an arsenal of names and procedures that sounded frightening. Chemotherapy was the first line of defense. The sessions, long and exhausting, left me drained. The medication entered my veins, spreading throughout my body and fighting cancerous cells, but also, unfortunately, attacking healthy cells. The side effects were devastating. Constant nausea, relentless vomiting, loss of appetite. My taste changed, and the foods that once brought me pleasure became repulsive. Hair loss was one of the most difficult moments. Seeing hair falling in tufts made me feel even more fragile and vulnerable. The reflection in the mirror was no longer the same, and my self-esteem plummeted. I remember crying a lot, feeling ugly and sick. I decided to shave my head, bed, and it was an act of liberation. I embraced my new image, showing the world that the disease did not define me. Extreme fatigue was constant. Even the simplest tasks, like taking a shower or getting dressed, became a Herculean effort. I spent most of the time lying in bed, with no energy to do anything. My social life became practically non-existent. Visits from friends were welcome, but I would soon feel exhausted and need to rest. There were moments of hospitalization due to infections and complications caused by the treatment. The needles, the IVs, the tests, the hospital environment made me feel depressed and anxious. I missed my home, my family, my routine. The nights were long and silent, and loneliness invaded me. Pain was a constant presence. Body aches, headaches, emotional pains. I learned to live with it, to control it with medication and alternative therapies. But even so, there were moments when the pain was unbearable, preventing me from sleeping, eating, thinking. Disheartenment was inevitable. There were days when I felt weak, discouraged, and hopeless. I questioned my ability to keep fighting, to endure so much suffering. But in those moments, I clung to faith, to the love of my family, and to the support of the medical team. They were my strength, my inspiration, my reason to keep going. My family was essential throughout the whole process. My husband was always by my side, giving me support, affection, and strength. My children visited me frequently, cheered me up, and showed me how much they loved me. My grandchildren filled me with joy with their playfulness and mischief. Their love gave me the energy to fight. Friends were also amazing. They visited me, called me, sent me supportive messages. They organized events to distract and cheer me up. Their affection made me feel loved and supported. The medical team was essential. The doctors, nurses, psychologists, and therapists treated me with professionalism, respect, and humanity. They explained everything about the illness and the treatment, provided me with emotional support, and helped me deal with side effects. I trusted them and followed their guidance, knowing they were doing their best for me. And so, day after day, I faced the challenges imposed by the illness and treatment. With faith, courage, hope, and the support of the people who love me, I move forward, fighting for my life. It is important to clarify a common confusion. Palliative care is not synonymous with a terminal state. Many people associate palliative care with the end of life, as if it were a recognition that nothing more can be done. But that is not true. Palliative care is a multidisciplinary approach aimed at improving the quality of life for patients and their families facing serious illnesses at any stage of the disease. It can be initiated soon after diagnosis in conjunction with curative treatment and continues even when a cure is not possible. Being in palliative care means having access to a team of professionals specialized in relieving pain, controlling symptoms, providing emotional and spiritual support, and helping the patient and their family make important decisions about treatment and care. The goal is to provide the maximum comfort and well-being possible, allowing the patient to live as fully and dignified as possible, according to their values and preferences. It is not about giving up on life, but living it with quality, despite the illness. Palliative care focuses on various aspects of patient well-being. Pain relief is a priority, using medications and other therapies to control the intensity of pain and allow the patient to lead a more active and comfortable life. Symptom management, such as nausea, shortness of breath, fatigue, and insomnia, is also essential for improving quality of life. In addition to physical relief, palliative care provides emotional and psychological support for the patient and their family. Serious illness can generate anxiety, depression, fear, and sadness, and it is important to have a safe space to express these feelings and receive support. The palliative care team can help the patient and their family cope with stress, find meaning in life, and strengthen emotional bonds. Spirituality is also an important aspect of palliative care. Serious illness can trigger existential questions and the search for meaning in life. The palliative care team can offer spiritual support, respecting the patient's beliefs and values, and helping them find peace and comfort. In my journey against cancer, palliative care was a relief. The team helped me control pain, deal with the side effects of chemotherapy, and face fear and uncertainty. In addition to conventional treatment, I also tried alternative therapies such as meditation, yoga, and acupuncture. Meditation helped me calm my mind, reduce stress, and find inner peace. I practiced meditation every day, even if only for a few minutes, and felt a significant difference in my mood and disposition. Yoga helped me strengthen my body, improve flexibility, and relieve pain. Gentle postures and conscious breathing provided me with relaxation and well-being. Acupuncture helped me relieve nausea, reduce fatigue, and improve sleep. The thin needles, applied at specific points on the body, stimulated the vital energy and promoted balance. These alternative therapies were an important complement to conventional treatment, helping me deal with symptoms and improve my quality of life. It is essential to remember that each person responds differently to therapies, and what worked for me may not work for others. The key is to find what makes you feel good and helps you face the disease in the best possible way. Palliative care showed me that, even in the face of illness, it is possible to live with dignity, comfort, and hope. Then, like a punch in the stomach, came the news of the recurrence. After months of intense treatment, renewed hope, believing I was winning the battle, the disease decided to rear its head again. It felt like the world collapsed once more, as if I were at the top of a mountain and suddenly thrown down rolling downhill. The frustration was enormous. All that struggle, all that suffering, all that time devoted to treatment. It seemed like it had been in vain. It felt like I was back to square one, having to start all over again. Anger, sadness, and fear mingled together, forming a bitter cocktail that consumed me entirely. The new symptoms were subtle but persistent. A twinge here, a fatigue there, a nagging cough. At first I tried to ignore it, thinking it was just life stress, treatment side effects, but deep down, I knew something was not right. My body, which had warned me before, was giving me signs that the disease was coming back to attack. The exams confirmed what I feared: metastasis. The cancer had spread to other organs, making the treatment more complex and challenging. The news left me stunned, groundless. The word metastasis sounded like a sentence, like a foreboding of an uncertain and bleak future. The fear of death has become more present, more real. I started thinking about the end of life, about what I would leave behind, about the people I loved. Memories of my childhood, my youth, of the happy moments I lived came to the surface, as if I were watching a movie of my life. Longing tightened my heart, and tears rolled down my face. Accepting the new reality was a slow and painful process. It took time to assimilate the diagnosis, to understand what was happening to me, and to find strength to move on. I had to let go of expectations, dreams, and plans that might not come true. I had to learn to live one day at a time, without worrying too much about the future. Psychological support has been crucial in this journey. Therapy helps me deal with emotions, process grief, find meaning in life, and strengthen my resilience. Talking to others who are going through the same situation also brings me comfort and hope. Knowing that I am not alone, that there are other people who understand and support me, makes all the difference. Spirituality has also given me strength. Faith helps me find inner peace, believe in a higher purpose, and trust that everything will be fine, even if I do not understand God's plans. Prayer, meditation, and reading sacred texts bring me comfort and hope. Today, I focus on living the present in the best possible way. I cherish every moment, every smile, every hug. I dedicate time to the people I love, do things that please me, and try to maintain a positive attitude towards life. I know the path won't be easy, but I am willing to fight with all my strength. I believe that life is a precious gift, and it's worth living intensely until the last breath. And above all, I want to leave a legacy of love, hope, and faith for those around me. I want to show that even in the face of illness, it is possible to live with dignity, joy, and purpose. Because in the end, what matters is not how long we live, but how we live. After all that I have been through, I have learned that the present moment is the only time we truly have. Yesterday is gone, and tomorrow is an uncertain promise. That's why I strive to live each day with intensity, enjoying every moment as if it were the last. I have discovered that happiness is not found in great achievements or material possessions, but in the little things, in the simple moments that make life worth living. One of my favorite activities is spending time with my grandchildren. I love playing with them, telling stories, taking them to the park, and teaching them new things. Their smiles brighten my day, and their energy is contagious. The laughter, tight hugs, and sweet kisses are a true treasure. I feel blessed to have the opportunity to witness their growth and be part of their lives. Taking care of my garden also brings me a lot of joy. I enjoy working with the soil, planting flowers, watering the plants, and seeing everything grow and bloom. Being in nature calms me down and connects me with something greater than myself. The vibrant colors, the scent of flowers, and the birdsong fill me with peace and serenity. It's as if the garden is a reflection of my soul, a place where I find beauty, harmony, and balance. Cooking for my family is another thing that brings me great pleasure. I love preparing delicious recipes, trying out new ingredients, and seeing everyone enjoy the food I made with so much love. The smell of homemade food, the clinking of silverware, and the lively conversations at the table create a warm and familiar atmosphere. It's a moment of unity and a celebration of life. Reading a good book, watching an inspiring movie, or listening to relaxing music also do me a lot of good. Reading transports me to other worlds, makes me dream, and allows me to learn new things. Cinema moves me, entertains me, and makes me reflect on life. Music calms me, energizes me, and connects me with my emotions. These are moments of introspection and self-care that help me recharge my energies and face the challenges of daily life. I have learned to value relationships and express my feelings. Previously, I had difficulty saying "I love you," asking for help, and showing affection. But illness has taught me that life is too short to suppress feelings, and that love is the greatest gift we can offer and receive. Today, I am more open, more sincere, and more affectionate with the people I love. I am not afraid to show vulnerability and express what I feel. Being grateful for life is something I practice every day. I am thankful for having health, for having a family that loves me, for having friends who support me, and for having the opportunity to live another day. I am grateful for the little things, like the shining sun, the blowing wind, the smile of a child, and the hug of a friend. Gratitude helps me maintain a positive attitude towards life and appreciate what truly matters. Illness has taught me to prioritize what really matters and to set aside unnecessary worries. Previously, I worried too much about work, money, appearance, and the opinion of others. But today, I know that these things are temporary and not worth the stress and anxiety. What really matters is health, family, friends, and inner peace. It is to live according to my values, do what makes me happy, and leave a legacy of love and hope. I learned to say no to what doesn't serve me, delegate tasks, and reserve time to take care of myself. Life is too precious to be wasted on things that don't matter. It takes courage to simplify, prioritize, and live authentically and meaningfully. And that's what I'm trying to do every day. Life and death. Two sides of the same coin, inseparable and inevitable. Before illness, I thought of death as something distant, abstract, something that only happened to others. I avoided the subject with fear and discomfort, but after facing cancer, my perspective completely changed. Death became more real, more present, but also less scary. I learned that death is not the end, but rather a transformation, a passage to another dimension. I believe that the energy that animates us, the essence of our soul, continues to exist after the death of the physical body, and that in some way we remain connected to those we love. Death is not the opposite of life, but an integral part of it. It is a natural cycle, like birth, growth, and aging. Illness has taught me to value every moment, to seize each instant as if it were the last. Life is a precious gift, and we cannot waste it on things that do not matter. We need to love, forgive, be grateful, dream, and live intensely. We need to do good, sow love, and leave a positive legacy in the world. The experience of illness has transformed me profoundly. I have become stronger, more resilient, and more compassionate. I have learned to deal with pain, fear, and uncertainty. I have learned to appreciate the little things, to prioritize what truly matters, and to live in a more authentic and meaningful way. Illness has shown me my inner strength, my ability to overcome, and my unwavering faith. I have become more compassionate towards the suffering of others. Previously, I struggled to understand the pain of others, to put myself in the shoes of those who were suffering. But after facing cancer, I have gained more empathy, sensitivity, and a greater desire to help. Today, I dedicate myself to supporting other people going through similar situations, offering my time, my affection, and my experience. I believe that love and solidarity are the greatest forces in the universe, capable of healing the wounds of the soul and transforming the world. The legacy I want to leave is one of love, hope, and faith. I want to inspire others to take care of their health, to live fully, and to face challenges with courage and resilience. I want to show that even in the face of illness, it is possible to have a happy, meaningful, and purposeful life. I want people to remember me as someone who loved intensely, who fought bravely, and who never lost hope. My message to those facing similar challenges is, don't give up. Believe in yourself, trust your inner strength, and seek support from those who love you. Do not be afraid to ask for help, to express your feelings, and to seek the appropriate treatment. Remember that you are not alone and that there are many people willing to help you. Keep the faith, nurture hope, and live one day at a time. Life is a precious gift, and it is worth fighting for. Take care of your health. Have preventive checkups regularly, adopt healthy habits, and seek medical help at the slightest sign of alert. Do not ignore the signals your body gives you. Prevention is the best remedy. Invest in your physical, mental, and emotional health. Eat healthily, exercise, sleep well, manage stress, and cultivate positive relationships. Remember that health is our most valuable asset, and we need to take care of it responsibly. Live fully. Do not wait for the future to be happy. Enjoy every moment, every opportunity, every encounter. Do the things that bring you pleasure, fulfill your dreams, explore your talents, and leave your mark on the world. Do not be afraid to take risks, to step out of your comfort zone, and to pursue your happiness. Life is too short to be wasted on things that do not matter. Always remember, hope is the last to die. Even in the face of the greatest difficulties, do not lose hope. Believe that the best is yet to come, that healing is possible, and that you are capable of overcoming any obstacle. Faith is a powerful ally, capable of turning the impossible into reality. Maintain positive thinking, visualize your healing, and trust that everything will work out. Believe in the power of love, faith, and hope, and move forward with courage and determination. Life is a precious gift, and it is worth fighting for. If I could go back in time, I would only change one thing. I would have listened to my body sooner. I would have paid more attention to that persistent cough, to that inexplicable fatigue, to those pains that I ignored so much. Negligence cost me precious time that could have made all the difference in my treatment. That's why I ask you, with all the sincerity of my heart, listen to your bodies. Do not ignore the warning signs. Do not postpone going to the doctor. Do not be afraid to face the truth. Prevention is crucial. An early diagnosis can save lives. I learned in the worst way that health is our most valuable valuable asset. Without it, nothing else matters. It is useless to have money, success, or beauty if we do not have the health to enjoy them. Therefore, take care of your bodies, your mind, and your soul. Eat healthily, exercise, sleep well, avoid stress, and cultivate positive relationships. Invest in yourselves, in your well-being, and in your happiness. My final advice, based on my personal experience, is to face the illness with courage, faith, and hope. Do not surrender to despair. Do not be overwhelmed by fear. Believe in healing, trust the medical team, and seek support from the people you love. Keep a positive mind, visualize your recovery, and never lose hope. Faith moves mountains, and love heals all wounds. I thank each of you who took the time to listen to my story. I hope it serves as an inspiration, a warning, and an encouragement for you to take care of your health and value every moment of life. I thank my family, my friends, my doctors, and all who supported me on this journey. Your love gave me strength to fight and never give up. I believe in the power of life, in the human ability to overcome, and in the power of love. Life is a precious gift, and we should make the most of it. Love intensely, forgive easily, always be grateful, and live each day as if it were the last. Life is beautiful, and it deserves to be lived with joy, hope, and gratitude. May God bless all of you.